everyone. Welcome to Impactors Out Loud. Um, my name is Tracy V. Allen. I am the host of Impactors Out Loud. And today we have with us Michelle, and I'm going to bring her up. So, Michelle Thomas. Hi, welcome. So, Michelle often refers to herself as the Olivia Pope of life coaching by her peers. Has faced and overcome numerous life scandals with intrigue and faith. Raised by a single mom in Brooklyn, New York, she was the first in her family to attend college. Oh, she's breaking a lot of barriers. Later, earned her master's degree in marriage and family counseling at Liberty University. Michelle's journey has been marked by resilience. She joined the army, became a mother and a homeowner by the age of 23. And I became a homeowner at 24, so that's pretty cool. Despite facing a major personal scandal due to her ex husband's actions, she chose to embrace change and face her fears, ultimately ending the marriage after 16 years. Today, Michelle is an international podcaster, educator, life coach, writer, and speaker, known for her transparency and authenticity. She resides in Texas with her two daughters and has been featured in major media outlets such as Fox, CBS, and NBC. Her life is a testament to her belief in God's mercy, and her current life verse is Isaiah 61:7, which speaks to receiving honor and prosperity instead of shame and dishonor. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me on, Tracy. Thank you,
You're
everyone, for
welcome.
tuning in. Just so grateful to be here.
Okay. So, Michelle, your bio says a lot. So, there's a component to your bio that I did not read, but I do want to tell people what it says. It says, when the FBI comes knocking on your door. And I was like, ooh, okay, that would scare anybody. So, tell us a little bit about, because I mean, that is a hook, right? Once
Yeah,
you read that, you want to read the rest of it.
you
So
do.
tell us a little bit more, all the details that I left out. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
I was married for 16 years, like I said,
Mhm.
like you mentioned, and my ex-husband at the time worked for the federal government. And
Okay.
so when there's an investigation, they investigate their own. They don't call the police, right? They call their own people, which
Mhm.
is the FBI. And so there was an issue with it was some sexual misconduct.
Oh,
I don't know how much we can say on this platform
you can
because I
say
know you're
whatever
going to
you
push
need
it
to
out
say.
to too many, and
Mhm.
some words might be highlighted, and
Mhm.
I don't want anything flagged, so I'm going to try to use the best words possible. Okay,
Okay.
there was some sexual misconduct that he
Mhm.
was involved in, and because of it, they had to come out and do a full-on investigation. And
Mm.
so they came to the house to inquire and ask him some questions. But when they noticed that I was there and our children were there, they said, well, we can't question you in your home anymore. Meet us down in our office.
Mhm.
So the whole time I've been asking him, hey, did you do anything inappropriate? What's going on? He denied, denied, denied. Okay. And it was a
Mhm.
lie. Okay. It was a
Mhm.
lie.
Mhm.
And so he was found guilty of this sexual assault, and he was sentenced to prison because of it.
Oh
And
wow.
so I was married, 16 years, two girls. We were in ministry at the time. It was all over the
Oh,
front page of the
okay.
paper. Yes, ran on the news multiple times because we
Mhm.
live in a smaller town. And so it was just like my whole life fell apart.
I understand the
And
verse.
I do. Yeah,
I understand the verse.
mhm, it fell apart,
Yeah.
and you're trying to pick yourself back up, and you're trying to stay strong for your girls because, they didn't do anything wrong, and
How
you're
old were they at the time?
so, my youngest was 4 at the time, and her
Mhm.
sister was probably around 11 or 12 at the
So
time.
she understood more what was
She
going on than
understood
before.
everything. She
Yeah.
could read the
Mhm.
paper and
Right.
understood.
And
And
go to
so,
school.
mhm,
Kids
mhm.
tend to be a little mean.
Yes, yes, and
Yeah.
so, we had to really pull her to the side, and we had to
Mhm.
explain everything to her in the best terms that we could because,
Okay.
she's still a child, and
Mhm.
understanding that it's just like it was really crazy to comprehend. Because what do you know about sexual misconduct at 11 and 12? You have no idea. You just you
Right.
barely can put deodorant on, right? You know
Right.
we're still telling you to brush your teeth and stuff like that, so
Right.
you know? So we
Mhm.
try to do the best that we can to explain what was happening in her life. And so from that, I decided to write a book because people wanted to know what was happening. I had got
Mhm.
on stage at a women's conference and I told my testimony in full,
Okay.
and it really helped people.
Mhm.
And I got off the stage and there were just lines and lines of women. And
How how long after this episode happened did you tell that story on stage?
okay, so the incident happened in 2014. He
Mhm.
went to prison in 2016. I
Okay.
divorced in 2018, and I
Mhm.
told the story in 2020.
Oh,
Uh,
so you had some time to process and come to terms with what happened. Because
yeah,
I just was curious because I know sometimes when things are fresh, we just can't talk about it.
no,
So it was some time after. Mhm.
yes, and so and really, I would say I truly believe that God gave me time to process what was happening,
Mhm.
to actually get into a place where you know I could acknowledge this really happened.
Right.
I was in denial.
Yeah, a state of
Blamed
disbelief.
yes. I blamed everybody but him.
Really? Oh, wow.
And it was just like, "Stop,
But
stop,
how
stop."
about long do you think you stayed in that stage of denial?
Uh, I wanna say it probably was for maybe the first few months,
Okay.
because there was an investigation, and so I totally believed him.
Okay.
Totally
Yeah,
believed him.
because he told you that, it didn't happen and you had no reason prior to disbelieve him or,
You're gonna
he
have your
didn't do anything before that
right.
made you not trust him. Right.
You're gonna have your spouse's back,
Right.
right? You're
Mhm.
16 years in now. Well, at that time, I wanna say it was 13 years. So, you
Mhm.
had some tenure. So
Right.
you can have your spouse's back. You've been through
Right.
enough. To
Mhm.
be in a marriage for 10 years, you've gone through something. And so now we're at 13 years, and I'm like, okay, I'm sure he's matured. You know, this is not happening. And
Mhm.
so I believed his back. I just had his back. I believed everything he said. I really, and because we were in ministry, I thought that this was a spiritual attack, right?
Oh,
this
okay.
is this is an attack from the enemy.
Yes. Right.
Has to be, right? Because he would never do that.
Yeah.
Well, I was wrong.
Okay.
I
Gotcha.
was wrong. And it took
Mhm.
me a minute for me to just kind of really get my mind together and accept that this is
Mhm.
happening. And I stayed married. I stayed married for a long time. It was like 4 years later I got
Right.
divorced because
Mhm.
really like sometimes you hear that God's going to do something with this marriage, God's going to use
Mhm.
it. You hear all those things and you're like, yeah. And then
Mhm.
one day I was like, no, I don't want God to use this. No, 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 no. I don't want anybody repeating this type of behavior.
Mhm.
No, let it stop and end with me. Okay. So
Right.
I was like, I don't want to condone this. And I don't want anyone to look at what I have and say,
Uh-huh.
man, I want a marriage like no, 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 you don't want a marriage like this.
Okay.
Even though
Uh,
we've endured, that's not what I want.
so right. So let me ask you a question. I want to go back to the quote because the quote is so perfect for what has happened in your life.
Mhm.
Not the quote, the passage from the Bible. So in Isaiah 61, like the summary of it is speaking about receiving honors and not prosperity instead of
Mhm.
shame and dishonor. How
Mhm.
did you get past the shame and dishonor of the entire situation, especially having been in the military? He's working for the federal government. You guys are in ministry. I know that there had to be a certain amount of shame and dishonor that came with it. Like you said, you were like, this has to be a spiritual attack. He would never. Right? God is putting us through a trial or something
Right.
to that effect. So tell me how you overcame that because I know there has to be someone who's going through something that they find to be right now dishonorable in
Yeah.
their minds and it's bringing them private or public shame.
Yeah.
How did you get past that?
Well, I will say lots of prayer,
Mhm.
but I also went to therapy, and I had a really great support system. And there were people that just stood by me. And in therapy, I was challenged.
Mhm.
Okay. And in that challenge, it changed my prayers. And I was really angry. I was like, God, how could you let this happen? Like, what is this?
Mhm.
And then I come to realize God didn't let any of that happen. Someone made a choice. He
Right.
used his free will to make a choice that I didn't like. And I
Mhm.
had to accept that. And I once acceptance comes in, healing takes place. It begins to take place and helps out with the process. And so I did a lot of that. And
Mhm.
I went to divorce care for 3 sessions. Now, a lot of times people will just go to maybe 1 or 2 meetings. No, I completed 3 full sessions of divorce care. So I
Okay.
was in divorce care for maybe almost maybe 9 to 10 months,
Oh, okay.
just continuously going back doing divorce
Mhm.
care. Then I was also in therapy as well too. And then, like I said, I have my support system as well. So I didn't do this by myself. And I don't encourage anyone to try to get out of a hard situation by themselves, because what's dishonorable to me, something else might be public shame to you. And especially
Right.
if you live in a small community and you go to a
Mhm.
small church, woo, those people could be nasty.
Yeah, the scandal lives on, right?
It does. And then
Yeah,
you get over it until
right.
someone else messes up and then there's a new scandal. No one cares anymore. And then
Mhm.
you're like,
Mhm.
no one cares
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you talked about, so we got the backstory of what happened, and then we're gonna move forward to what propelled you into where you are now. So that is the foundation, and now we're building up. So you got an opportunity to speak at a women's conference. Let's start from there.
Yes, so one of my friends, I had gone to I've been going to these conferences for a number of years, and they had
Mhm.
a session called the living room sessions. And this is an opportunity for you to go to a retreat and kind of get away. And I was like, you know what, Lord, I need this. And so
Mhm.
I went ahead and I did the retreat, and I just had such a great time at the retreat.
Mhm.
And I saw a move. I saw like God just really changed my heart. And one of the ladies says, "Hey, Michelle, what do you think about sharing your testimony with the ladies?" Now, this
Mhm.
is a pretty big conference. It's about a
Okay.
thousand women. All right.
Okay.
And so I said something really religious. I really did. I said, let me pray about it. Right. And I was in my classroom at the time because I was in education,
Mhm.
and I was just cleaning down some desks. And I was like, God, do you want me to tell 1,000 women about your goodness in my life and how you got me through it? And then I had
Mhm.
the answer. What was he going to say? No, don't tell anyone.
Right.
So I was like, I
Mhm.
called her back and I said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And
Okay.
I got on the stage, and that's when I told my story. And from that, I decided to write my first book, When Scandal Comes Home. And I'll just kind of show you a little bit of, this is it right here.
Yep. Okay.
And so it gave a little bit of backstory of what happened, what I couldn't tell on the pulpit,
Mhm.
because some stuff, just not
Right.
appropriate. So I
Mhm.
gave some backstory, and then I have some questions in there to kind of help you navigate through your hard season in life as well too.
Mhm.
And so from there, I decided to do some coaching. I signed up for a
Okay.
coaching program. The
Mhm.
public speaking was there, the coaching was there. And then I started doing podcasts and retreats. So it was just like
Mhm.
one thing led to the other. And one thing about helping people, it can be almost addictive. It's
Yes,
just like,
it can be.
you,
No,
you
it
know,
seriously, it can be. It's
yeah,
like
you just,
you kinda get your dopamine hit
yeah.
from helping someone and seeing what you've done transform
Mhm.
their lives.
Yes. And so it was just like I made a decision
Mm,
that I was not going to let this thing overtake me. I made a decision that I was going to be intentional. And I
mhm.
know you hear people say things so often with God, what the enemy used for bad, God uses for good. Like people quote the scripture a lot, but what is the practical application? What exactly does that look like day to day versus just
Right.
saying scripture? The
Mhm.
day to day is being intentional. Okay, so I decided to create businesses surrounding some of the trauma that I have experienced to help the women navigate through it. And so there's no accusations. I'm not accusing, I'm not judging. I'm listening and I'm offering solutions, practical solutions to get you from point A to point B to point C to point D. And you kind of keep going. I don't
Mhm.
want you to be dependent on me. I want you to have the tools to help yourself when I'm not around. So that's
Right.
what I tend to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you don't want people to be dependent on you,
Yeah.
because I talk about that all the time in my consultancy, is that I want to come in, work with you, and equip you, your staff, whoever you have, all your stakeholders, with the tools to move forward without me. You may need to lean on me once in a while. And then when I say
Mhm.
lean on me, you may need me to call me, ask me a question, or have me come
Right.
in and do some type of training and development for you, but I don't want to work for you. I don't want
Exactly.
to be your crutch. I don't want to be that person that you hold on to every time something slips. It shouldn't be that way. I need to give you all the tools necessary to move forward on your own. You have to have some autonomy about how you navigate through this life. So I like
Absolutely.
that. I really
Yes.
do like that.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so what type of, without of course divulging any type of um HIPAA violations,
Mhm.
going towards any type of HIPAA violations. What type of women, what are they going through? And how is what you're doing transforming their lives and
I
having
meet
that trickle down, that ripple effect throughout our society?
I meet a lot of women that have been in marriages that have experienced infidelity or
Okay.
adultery.
Hmm.
I eh, I'm the go-to, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, considering what you went through, um,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
that would make
So
sense.
definitely that. And
Mhm.
so, I tell them like you can get through it, and I give them some of the things that I've done in my life personally to help me
Mhm.
transition from, hurt, the pain, the shame, and I kind of help them with that, and then mindset.
Mindset,
Because
yeah.
really, you have to have a new normal. And that's with anyone that I've ever coached before. You have to create your new normal. You have to one accept that your old life is over, and that's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay. Accept that it's over, and then now you're creating a new normal
Mhm.
and you're open up to so many possibilities. Don't limit yourself.
Mhm.
Okay. So I try to encourage them to think differently. I call myself a perspective shifter. I love to shift a person's perspective with a conversation, with a meeting.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's not as negative or as bad as you think it is.
Mhm.
Perhaps, because we hear people talk about it like this is actually working out for your good. This is
Right.
exactly what you wanted,
Mhm.
but it got a little messy in the process. But
Right.
you're going to get to where you really want to be in life.
I do want to double back though on the shame aspect of it. And it's not that I want to harp on it, it's just because I used to be in education myself. And I know a lot of people who carry around a lot of shame.
Mhm.
And that shame tends to cripple them. So they
Yeah.
want to do a whole lot with their lives, but the shame that they're carrying around from an action that they have done in the past or someone has done to
Mhm.
them,
Mhm.
it keeps them stuck and they're unable to move forward and live in their full potential. How
Mhm.
do you tell someone how to get past that shame that they're carrying around, that it's like carrying a heavy backpack
Yeah.
on your around all day every day, and it's just a blocker because they can't do a mindset shift unless they're able to get past the shame that they're carrying.
Yes. So we definitely have different conversations.
Mhm.
And when I coach women, and I only coach women, we do
Mhm.
a lot of homework. Okay. So we're going to unpack some things. And
Mhm.
once we do that, that's when we can go into maybe releasing the shame. Now, I can't force you to release it.
Mhm.
Right. That has to be a conscious decision that you make. And I would hope, and these are with all the ladies, once they hit me, they've determined that they want it to change. So it's not as difficult for me. I'm not pulling teeth. I'm not
Okay,
forcing. They have
great.
already made up in their mind that they
Mhm.
want to change and they want to get out of this. Now, how much do you share? How much do you tell with people? That's going to depend on the situation, if it
Right.
calls for it, and what is the action that's going to come out of it. Is
Mhm.
it just I'm giving you information about something that happened in my childhood, and the shame just for sport? Like,
Mhm.
what's the benefit
The
behind
transformative effect. Mhm.
before telling your testimony, before sharing your story? And so I encourage people, don't share if you don't know where it's going.
Going, okay.
Yeah,
And how
yeah,
do you tell people to deal with those people, even though you wanna get past the shame? You're like, "Okay, I've dwelled in this place enough, and I need to move forward." But you have people in your life who will not allow you to overcome the shame. So every time you try to take 10 steps forward, they remind you of whatever you did that was shameful.
yeah. Listen, don't deny that it happened.
Mhm,
Okay. And that's one of those things, like, it did happen. That happened in 2014.
mhm,
It's 2024. I am doing blah, 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 blah. And I would, this is where you have to set your boundary, because I'm about to say something. You're going to set your boundary and you're going to have to
mhm,
hold on to it. And you're going to have to be okay. However, the chips fall, you're going to have to be okay with it.
mhm.
That happened in 2014. I'm in 2024. I've gotten so much better. I've gone to therapy. You share what you want to share, but I
Right.
don't really want to go back there. And if you keep talking about it, we're
Mhm.
not going to maintain the friendship, or I'm just not going to come around. Like,
Yes,
you set your
absolutely.
boundary and be okay with sticking with it. Don't let anyone shame, manipulate, or twist you into lowering your boundary. I just talked about this the other day. Your boundaries need to remain. It
Mhm,
was set in place to keep you safe. Don't remove that. Okay. Maintain your boundaries. And if someone is willing to try to manipulate you, and this again comes down with spirituality, sometimes, especially in the body of Christ, people will try to, well, have you really forgiven? Have you? Hey, these are my boundaries. Okay.
yeah.
They are not changing. Yes, I love Jesus. Yes, I love God. Yes, but my boundaries remain. And
Right.
we teach people this. See, we're not accustomed to hearing that. So sometimes people are like, but we have to teach that my boundaries remain. And this is what's going to happen if you try to
Mhm.
violate it. And you got to be okay with it, because some
Yeah.
people are just, they're going to push past that.
Oh, yeah,
Okay. They're going
definitely.
to ignore what you said and they're going to push
Mhm.
past it. Be okay to block,
Okay.
block them. Be okay with it. All right. Because you've told them the standard and
Mhm.
you told them the outcome. And now they're pushing your boundary. This person no longer needs to be in your life. Okay. Because you can't get past it if someone keeps bringing the negative up, if someone
Right,
keeps
and I think I see
reminding you of it.
that's what I see with a lot of people that I know. They have people in their lives who will not let them forget what it is that they had done
And you know what? You know why they won't let them
or
forget? Because
happened to them.
they can't forget their own stuff.
Right, that's
Those
true.
of us that have made it past, when we've
Uh-huh,
have forgiven and we have been free,
right.
we genuinely don't hold grudges. We don't hold
Mhm,
on to stuff. We just kind
mhm,
of move on. But those people are battling their own demons. And
mhm.
so they want you to battle with them. Like,
With them. Misery
uh-uh.
likes company.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're not doing that.
The one thing I didn't ask you about is that you said that during the time that this whole situation happened with your husband, you guys were in ministry. Are you still in ministry today?
Yes, I
Oh,
am. So I
mhm.
want to say this. I took a break.
Okay.
Okay.
I was about
And
to that was my next question. Did you ever lose your faith or feel like you needed to take a break?
yes, I am so adamant about
Mhm.
taking a break in the middle of a major scandal.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there are things that's going to happen to all of us. But when
Mhm,
I talk about like major scandal, I personally believe this is your time to log off of social media if you can. This is
mhm,
your time to stop answering so many phone calls. This is your time to kind of get quiet and heal.
mhm,
A lot of times you'll see these pastors, people in ministry, they'll still want to get up on the pulpit. And what they do is they pervert the word.
mhm.
They'll start perverting things to justify what they got going on in their lives. For a little bit, friend.
You said you said a mouthful.
Sit down for a minute. That's not what the scripture said. You perverting it, and you leading people astray because you can't sit down. You're gonna have to sit down and let God heal that, okay?
Right.
Because you're sending people down a whole nother path, and they're remembering what you said in your broken state.
Right. I do agree with that. When you're in a broken state, you need to be quiet
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I have my personal philosophies. Things said in anger are your true feelings, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that you needed to say it to that person because not everything needs to be said, right?
Right.
But you once said, you can't take it back either.
And now with social media, sometimes, listen,
Yeah.
this is one of the things that happened to me. Like, God told me, you need to get off of social media.
Mhm.
Because I was liking things, I was posting things. It was inappropriate. And then
Mhm.
sometimes we're really upset that people are reminding us of our past. But Facebook does it every three years. You see, Facebook reminds you of
Every
what you said
day for
years
me,
ago.
every day.
Come on, time hop. They're reminding you of what you said, but you're
Yes.
not mad at Facebook like you mad at your
Mhm.
cousin and your auntie.
Right. Exactly.
So some
Exactly.
of this stuff you caused. So you
Yeah,
have to
very true.
acknowledge, take that post down. Okay. Don't put
Mhm.
something out there that you don't want to have to defend 3 or 4 years or 5 years down the line. Okay. Don't put information out there that you're not ready to defend because people are going to
Mhm.
draw conclusions. They're going to make assumptions. It's better that you say nothing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Because you might give out some information and then you have to come back and backtrack. Oh, well, that's not what I meant. Well, sweetie, just don't say anything at all right now. Let's
Yeah.
just calm
Sometimes I didn't know
down.
what to say on social media either, and I was just like, "You know something? Then I don't say nothing,"
Mm-hmm.
because I can't take back, especially if I'm upset or there's something going on in my life, my family. I'm just like, social media may not be the place, and I just make a call to my therapist, and I'm like, "I'm gonna pay you to tell you all the things I would want to say."
Come on. Come on. That's wisdom. Wisdom. Wisdom
I mean,
calls.
seriously, I told her, I literally told my therapist, I said, you have just become my paid confidant. Okay. I said, what I came to you initially for, I'm still working through, but I'm basically, where I can handle it on my own. But I will keep paying you because there's some things I need to get off my chest on a regular basis. I can't say to nobody else, but you can't tell nobody what I had to say
That's
either.
right.
So we're gonna keep this relationship going.
There you go. There you
you know,
go.
and I think that's why I think therapy is so important.
Mhm.
Um, and I know you work with women mostly. Well, you only work with women. I don't know if you work with mostly Black women or you have a mixture, a
A
admixture of
mixture.
who you work
Mhm.
with.
A
But
mixture.
I really want Black women to become comfortable with going to therapy, to
Mhm.
heal. You have a lot of things that are just sitting right here
Mhm.
and you're about to vomit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you can't get it up because you feel like you have to be so strong. And I was that one person where everybody was like, "Oh yeah, you're so strong. You're so strong."
Oh,
And I don't think it is a compliment. It
not
is not a
anymore.
compliment.
Mm,
No. I never thought it was a compliment.
yeah.
I said, I always thought when people said it to me, I would smile, but I never thought it was a compliment because I realized early on, because I've had a lot of medical adversities throughout my life. So from a little girl, people have been telling me, "Oh, you're so strong." Me, I would have died by now. Oh my
Mm,
God, you're such a strong person. And I always thought it was because you didn't see me as a person.
mm.
Because if
Yeah.
you saw me, you really saw me, you would see that I'm breaking on the inside. But I have to put up this facade because that's what you want to see.
Yes. So I grew up believing being strong was a badge of honor. That's
Right.
what you're looking for. You have to. So, and I would say that all the time. And
Mhm.
then I realized with that strength, there was never any accountability for anyone else's actions. It
No.
was just mine. You just have to keep being strong, Michelle.
Strong.
And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, wait a minute now.
Mhm.
That means the other
Yeah.
person remains weak.
Yeah.
They get to stay
Yeah.
weak. And I'm like,
Mhm.
no.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I left that. That
Yeah.
strong woman. I left
That
that.
strong woman thing is not, it's not a badge of honor at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And anybody in your life telling you that you're strong, you need to look at them side eye. because they're not truly seeing you as a holistic person. They're only seeing the pieces of you that they want to see, that they're comfortable with. It's like
Mm.
somebody who asks you all the time, "How are you doing?" And if you say anything besides, "I'm okay," the conversation turns left. Like they're like, "Oh my god, I have to go. It was really nice meeting you." Like it gets very very awkward and uncomfortable. So you learn how to just say, "I'm okay." You could not be okay. You could
Oh,
literally be dying, but
yeah.
your go-to is, "I'm okay." And I'm one of those people who did that a lot. Now
Yeah.
I was just like, "Do you want the truth or do you want me to tell you a lie?" I
Oh,
literally ask people that question, and it makes them
yeah.
uncomfortable as well. But that uncomfortableness is going to bring you to your own truth. Don't ask me if I'm okay if you don't really want to hear how I'm doing in that
Yes,
moment. So,
exactly. I was the blessed and highly favored, you know? Blessed and highly favored. I'm
yes.
falling apart here. Okay. But I'm blessed and highly
Exactly.
favored.
Right. So it's just, yeah, it's different. So let's see. What are three things, if you had to give women three takeaways, key
Mhm.
takeaways that they should think about, do, or operate, a space that they should operate in for maximum happiness and to live their fullest potential? What would those three things be?
Okay. One, don't be afraid to pivot. Okay. Making a pivot does not mean that you messed up or you were wrong. You just made a change, right? The more you learn, the more you grow, the more you're gonna pivot
Mhm,
because you're gonna move according to your knowledge. It's okay to pivot. You didn't fail. Okay. Release that mentality. It's okay to pivot. All
mhm,
right. Two, what's another thing I would say? Oh, don't take everything personal.
mhm.
Sometimes people are not even like it has nothing to do with you.
With you.
No one, there came a point and I realized no one actually cares. Eggs are too expensive. No one really cares right now about this.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking everybody's focused on me. They're like, do you know how
Mhm.
much milk costs?
Right.
They're dealing with their own stuff.
Yeah.
And so sometimes just don't take it personal. It's not necessarily about you,
Mhm,
unless you verify that it actually is. Okay.
mhm,
Don't take everything personal. Just kind of keep it moving. And then the last, my biggest one, you have to laugh. Ugh, I don't you have to laugh. Laugh at yourself. It's
mhm,
okay. We make mistakes. Sometimes we do things that are silly.
mhm,
You didn't mean it. Laugh at yourself. Release it. Because once you can laugh at yourself, one, you're going to be able to release shame. You're not going to be
mhm,
as embarrassed anymore. The pride kind of releases. Like you're not dealing with that. So I
mhm.
laugh all the time. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. And tomorrow's a new day. We're gonna be
Right.
okay.
Mhm. Okay, great. And the last question is, what makes you an impactor?
Okay. I am an impactor because I help to shift people's perspective to get them to a place where they actually want to be in life.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I
I
love
love it.
it. All right, Michelle, thank you so much for being a guest here on Impactors Out Loud. Can you tell people how they can get in contact with you to utilize your services and let them know what services you offer?
Absolutely. You can go to my website. It's IamMichelleA.com. You can find me there. You can find me on TikTok or Instagram, Facebook, Coach Michelle A underscore. And you can find me there just giving little tidbits daily on TikTok, just encouraging people. And
Awesome.
you can find me on YouTube at lostlightlaughter.com. You can go there as well too. It has a website. I do a podcast. Love encouraging people. So you can find if you're looking for me, you're gonna find me.
Unify. Just type in Michelle A or Michelle Thomas and she'll come
Yeah,
up.
you're gonna find me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.